Let's say in a family, anyone says that I want to become a pilot. So what would be the first reaction, or what was your family's first reaction?
They were of a strong opinion that here's the thing, you're not doing this right after 12th. You have things going that are working well for you. You're leaving that behind in order to do something. We were already doing something and we had to leave that behind in order to do something completely different.
Let's say if there is something stopping your parents, maybe it financial or some family background like which we are not aware about.
Any line released pilot is a competent pilot. Because that pilot was found to be competent, that's why that pilot is sitting in that chair. See, here's the thing. There are people that would tell you there is this shortage of pilot, that shortage of pilot. There is a shortage of pilot for experienced pilots. Ab initio, fresher, CPL holders, there is no shortage of them. Absolutely, there is no shortage of them.
Hello everyone, welcome back to India's #1 pilot podcast, and today we are back again with an exciting topic. But before discussing that exciting topic, we would like to welcome you on this podcast. We would like to thank you for your support for the past 79 episodes, and we are continuing to move towards the 80th episode.
Yeah, episode number 80, right? This one is. That's awesome, man. 80, roughly about 85 hours of content that we have. And sometimes we do wonder ourselves that is there anything remaining to talk? But there always is something or the other we try to find. Sometimes it does get repetitive, and we acknowledge that. The point is suggest us better topics and would love to speak over it, to be honest.
Yes, and repetitive is, I would say, not the right word, because our audience, if we see as aspiring pilots.
Yeah.
So once that person starts their journey, let's say if a student or if an aspiring pilot starts watching our podcast in 11th or 12th grade, we continuously discuss things which are relevant to pilot training. And by the time that person clears these exams, join flying school, they are with us with the podcast. And once they get their CPL and get into the airline, that's when they try to drift towards it, because we have served our purpose. Once they are into the airline, they don't require us.
Absolutely. We do this pilot podcast for aspiring pilots. Once you are into an airline, you don't need to watch this, right? I mean, we'd love for if you do, and we'd love to hear your suggestions as well. At the same time, matter of the fact, the purpose of this podcast is for aspiring pilots who are going through their journey, whether it is in class 12th or it is earlier or it is later, at any stages of pilot training, such as DGCA Medicals or DGCA exams or flight training or any of those phases. That's whom we do this for. And once you become an airline pilot, you know your things and you've achieved it.
Yes, and once you are into the airline, we would like to welcome you to share your story. You can join us.
Absolutely.
You can drop us an email to share your journey, how this podcast helped you, and the struggles which you faced during your pilot career.
Absolutely.
Because I believe every pilot story is different.
Yeah.
Everyone have their fair shares of struggle throughout their pilot career. It will be different for every person, depending upon the situation, about the family background, about some family member into aviation or no.
Yeah.
So that entirely depends from person to person. And today we'll be discussing the struggles of an airline pilot or struggles of an aspiring pilot.
Absolutely. Like you said, matter of the fact, when we fly and if there is time in cruise, I always ask the captain that what's your story of joining aviation? And most of the times the story is something else. The story is something different. Yeah, some start right after 12th, some start after another career, some start after aviation career, but in different capacity.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's always interesting to hear
Yeah.
everyone's story. Absolutely.
So, like you mentioned in the cruise,
Yeah.
so we do fly with different captains
Yeah.
every day. It's rare that we fly with the same captain again because the number of pilots here,
Yeah.
like the airline we fly in, is huge. So, the first question the captain asks is, anyone
In
in
aviation.
in aviation?
Yeah.
Why aviation?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the most common questions, and then you start the conversation. Okay, this is how I started my aviation journey, and yeah, it took for us. It took around 5 years, you can say, because of COVID.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the journey was longer than usual,
Yeah.
even though we were a part of the cadet pilot program. But eventually, we are a part of the airline.
Absolutely. That's the point. The expectation is like 1 year I'll finish CPL and next year I'll have a job and be a line released first officer. Yeah, if you're lucky that can happen, but it's very rare, to be honest. Matter of the fact, it does take a well line released first officer for the minimum from starting with the medicals until being released on the right seat. It does take 3 years approximately.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Struggles of pilots. What do we have in mind?
So, when anyone says,
Yeah.
let's say in a family, anyone says that I want to become a pilot. So,
Yeah.
what would be the first reaction, or what was your family's first reaction? I know your sister is a pilot.
Capt.Neha
Yeah,
is a pilot.
pilot,
So, and she was already flying at the
Mhm.
time. But I would refer to the time before she joined an airline. And I would also refer to when she said to my parents that I'd like to be
Okay.
a pilot.
Mhm.
Because for me, it was, to be honest, there was no resistance. And I started at an age where I made my decisions. Like, I would say rather than ask, because I was in a position to do so. I was in a
Mhm.
financial position to do so.
Okay.
I was in, so it was like, I'm considering doing this. What do you think about it? Okay. It wasn't that should I do it, or it wasn't like can I do it, or may I do it. No, it wasn't like that. Because why it was like that, like I'm considering doing this, and what's your view on this, to get inputs whether
Mhm.
it is the right decision for me at that point of time in my career or
Mhm.
not. So I didn't face as much resistance as such. When I did basically when Capt.Neha didn't have a job, at that time when I wanted to become a pilot, absolutely there was a resistance.
Yeah.
Okay, and I didn't have the money to do it. I had to ask for money from my parents at that time. So at that time it was like, okay, we'll support you, but we already have one unemployed pilot in the house. So I mean, so Capt.Neha was self-employed rather than unemployed, because she started CNTAA in 2008, right after she finished her flight training. So she was an earning member of the family, but she didn't have an airline job. She got an airline job in 2015. It's been 11 years for that.
Yeah.
That's like a long time, seriously, and it feels like yesterday, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like the other day, I was going through the pictures of her induction,
Mhm.
and it's like it's been over 10
10
years for
years.
this now. Yeah. So that discussion was such that I'm considering this, and I was married at the time. So I had to get permission from my wife as well that I'm considering this change of career. What is your view about it? And absolutely, my parents and her parents as well.
Yeah.
Because when you're married, it's yeah. So it was more of a, I'm considering doing this. What is your view? So I got suggestions from everybody, and but I wanted to do it, so I did it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's about it. And when I decided to do it, absolutely they were supportive of the decision, and they were happy about the decision. Absolutely, no doubt about it.
So yeah, so this is the number one. We could consider it
Yeah.
as a struggle
Yeah.
for an aspiring pilot, because this is something which is unconventional. So if you consider India is about 15,000 to 20,000 pilots,
Yeah.
and the population of India is around 140 crore.
Correct.
So telling the family that I want to become a pilot, I want to select this stream, has a resistance, because this is something which is unconventional. And then, as Indian aviation was not growing back in 2008 to 2015, the notion of parents would be like, there's no jobs. What will you do after training? What will you do if you not get a job? Because once you are a pilot, you have a license, okay? And then to get a job in the same field is difficult. And let's say if someone doesn't have any other skill apart from the CPL license, then the options are very limited. So it's difficult to convince parents, first of all, to let their child take such a bold decision.
So, like you said, now that reminded me of one intricacy when I asked for an opinion from parents and everyone in the house. They were of a strong opinion that, here's the thing, you're not doing this right after 12th. You have things going that are working well for you. You're leaving that behind in order to do something. And I were to go for a conventional pathway. So they were very strong on that I should go for a cadet pilot program.
Okay.
Yeah. They were like, if you want to do this, you do what you do. We cannot stop you. But our strong opinion is you should do a cadet pilot program. Matter of the fact, I applied back in the time. There was a flight school in South Florida. It was named as Dean International. I'd applied, I got a visa for it. And a day prior to me leaving for the flight school got shut.
Okay.
Yeah. It was 35, no, not 35, 45 lakh rupees. That is what their quote was. And luckily I had not paid any significant amount of money to the dean, probably a couple of lakhs or something. Less than that, whatever that is required for the I-20 and the invitation. And I got the visa. I were to leave, and 1 or 2 days prior, I get a information that the Dean has closed. Dean International has closed. Now I'm like, oh, okay. So I applied for another flight school. Okay. So I applied for another flight school. I got accepted. Now I had to apply for another visa because but then the flight school said that you can enter with a different I-20 and you just need a transfer letter from the previous school and something. So I did that, and when I did that, I got an email from L3 Harris that you have been selected for the selection day. I was like, now this. So yeah, and then definitely people at home everybody was like, you must go for the cadet pilot program so that you won't have to wait afterwards. That is what it was. How about you? Like, how did that conversation look like when you told your parents that you wanna become a pilot?
So I had this thing right after 12 that I want to become a pilot, but at that time, as we were like in a joint family, and if that amount is just allocated to me, then rest of my rest of our siblings won't have any fund to sponsor their training, because we know that pilot training is expensive. So after 12th, I went for civil engineering, and then I went into my dad's business as well for around 6 months to 1 year. And after that, I told him that this is something which I would like to do. So initially, he tried to inquire, same like asking the relatives how is this field and stuff. So the same thing they got to know that okay, pilots are unemployed. There's no point in getting, or you have to pay a huge sum of money to get a job. It's not easy to get a job unless you have a contact. And then I started researching different pathways to become pilot, and that's when I stumbled upon the cadet pilot program, which was fairly new at that time. There were a couple of batches, but then it was not visible to everyone. Like you have to dig into it and then find it. And from that point of time, the cadet pilot programs picked up for all the airlines. So I explained this program to him, and then there was one condition that if you clear the interview, then we'll see what to do. Okay. So then I had to do only one thing, that was to prepare and clear the cadet pilot program interview. And the things happened so fast that September I applied for the cadet pilot program. October I had the interview and everything done. November I had the results out, and December I signed the LOI. So it was a matter of 3 months that everything happened, starting from the preparation to signing the LOI. So even after clearing the cadet pilot program interview, my dad wanted to confirm that is this something legit or no, because we know that in aviation there are a lot of scams which go on.
Yeah.
And if someone is not from aviation background and you get trapped in that scam, the money which you lose is huge. So always verify whatever program you're going for, and is it proven? Like, do you know someone who have done training from that particular thing? So then we met couple of people, like the pilots who were working in the airline, and then they told it's good, and it's, if you want you can consider it. So that's when we decided to go for it, and Dad agreed to it. So that's how the thing happened. So resistance was there because there was no surety of job once you get your CPL. So the solution to that, which I was able to find out, was the cadet pilot program. So that's how everything went well. But initially there is resistance.
Right. Absolutely. But as far as I know, your parents, even they are supportive as far as your ask is reasonable.
Yeah.
And because you proved them that I can do this by passing your selection, then yes, the likelihood and we all have seen your video on the loan free pilot with the title that is okay. If you haven't watched it, you must watch it. Okay, it will tag it on the top left, right, wherever it comes, or in the bio. Make sure to watch that video. It is so well done. It is meticulously done. I don't think there is a better explanation of this particular topic that we are just talking about. So he has mentioned his discussions with his father at the time of making this decision whether to be a pilot. Because the point is, from where Chintan comes or where I come, we were already doing something and we had to leave that behind in order to do something completely different. So yeah, if you are just into 12th, you're blessed. You don't have to leave anything behind. You're starting a fresh career in your life. Okay. Yeah. And everything has its own advantages and disadvantages. That's what I would say. Like I wouldn't trade the experience I've had for anything, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, like as we are discussing our personal story, okay, so this is how we convinced our parents to let us take pilot as a career. So now if you are someone who is an aspiring pilot and you want to become a pilot and you want to convince your parents, but let's say if there is something stopping your parents, maybe it financial or some family background like which we are not aware about. So never pressurize your parents. Sit with them, discuss what are the things, what are the pros and cons, what life you will be having, how much you will be spending, how much you will be earning. Give them a clear pathway so that they can understand what you will be going through, like the pilot training. And then once they agree, or let's say even if they don't agree, you have other ways to become pilot as well, which is after 12th you do your graduation, you save up money and then go for your pilot training. Let's say if there's any financial situation, but never pressurize them that this is the only thing which I'll be doing. I won't be doing anything other than this. That's not the right way for you to become a pilot or for your parents to see their son doing it, or son or daughter.
Yeah. Because day by day, pilot training is becoming more and more and more expensive, to be honest. The dollar rates are increasing. Then the fuel is, I don't know what's the fuel prices now lately, but pilot training is becoming expensive. Pilot training in India, just the CPL has started costing up to 60 lakh or 65 lakh rupees. Just in India, that is. I mean, when Capt.Neha started her training, it was 12-15 lakh rupees. That is what it was. So it seems like our licenses are appreciating. Not as much as gold though, maybe. Okay. Yeah. Cool. That's about it. Now we have certain pointers written. So dream versus reality. Speaking on the topic of this, yes, licenses are appreciating, but the salaries are not increasing. So what do we do?
Now that will also be a point to discuss. So whenever an aspiring pilot tell their family that I want to become a pilot, so as there is an increase in the cost of training, so why is the salary same for the last 10, 15, 20 years? So that will be a point of discussion. So what I think is, when we select pilot as a career, so the initial 5 years, what I look is to get an ATPL, maybe get a PIC if it matters for the first 5-7 years, or be the competent pilot out there.
Absolutely.
So what that will do is, as a pilot, we are successful. Now, if someone wants to get more ROI, speaking about financially, there are people who go abroad wherever the opportunity is there. So first you become a competent pilot, and then let's say if you want to get a very good ROI on the investment you have made, you go where there is an opportunity to make that kind of money. So that's how I see it as of now.
Absolutely.
What do you think about it?
Absolutely. See, here's the thing. Any line released pilot is a competent pilot. Because that pilot was found to be competent, that's why that pilot is sitting in that chair. But that does not mean that is end of it all. That just means that the pilot has at least minimum skills, knowledge, minimum experience, and the competencies required in order to be in that seat. Now those improve as we move further with experience, right?
Yes.
So we definitely knew things on the first flight after release that we know now. But our confidence with those things now is a lot different than it used to be back then, right? That's the whole difference. Now, like you said, first 5 years, do not you don't look into the salary. Absolutely. It's like the equipment that we fly is $50 million. On the rough number. Okay, that is $50 million equipment. If it is 21, then that would be $65 million. Okay, we haven't yet flown the XLRs. That may be $75 million equipment. With this level of basically someone who has 200 hours with a CPL, and that person is getting to fly a $50 million equipment, that itself is a huge deal.
Yeah.
To be honest, it is a huge deal. Okay. But that doesn't change the fact the EMI that pilot has to pay. It simply doesn't. So, to be honest, expect no high-end lifestyle for at least 5 years of life.
Yes.
That is what Chintan is saying.
Yes.
Right?
So until you get
Yeah.
the
ATPL.
command,
Yeah. Or
ATPL,
ATPL. Yeah.
okay, you live a pretty normal life because there'll be EMI. If you're out of your base, you'll have rents to pay. Then you have to share some of your earnings for your family and other miscellaneous expenses. So first 5 years will be a bit difficult if we speak about the financial aspect, but that is the time to learn the aircraft, to get the command if possible, and then things will get easy.
We become a pilot in order to get to do it for rest of our lives. Yesterday we were talking about internal motivators and external motivators. External motivators being the lifestyle, the layovers, the good salary, the uniform, and the attention, respect, all of those things being the external motivators. Internal motivation would be the Steve Jobs quote again, that basically, how do you spend your life at work? Because we spend more than 80% of our life at work, our awake time at work, right? So if you're gonna do it, it's better that you do something that you really like, right? Now, if we are doing this for rest of our life, 5 years is a very small. I mean, nobody has guaranteed us another 40, 50, 60 years, but
Relatively smaller, yeah.
hopefully, right? So 5 years is relatively very small percentage of that life. And if someone is starting at the age of 18, 19, that person, by the time that person gets competent to get a command, is 25, 26. Yeah. And that's absolutely a great age. That person has still 40 years remaining in the service. Now, 40 and 5 years is a lot different. So, first 5 years are, I would say, just the building blocks of the pilot career. That is what I would say. Coming back to the point of salaries are in any industry are driven by demand and supply. It seems like people have a lot of money, so people are spending a lot of money on pilot training, and there are many pilots that are getting their CPLs. So there is good supply of pilots. There is no shortage of pilots. Literally, there is no short. See, here's the thing. There are people that would tell you there is this shortage of pilot, that shortage of pilot. There is a shortage of pilot for experienced pilots. Someone who has type experience of more than certain hours, different requirement for different airlines. When you have that, yes, absolutely, there is shortage of that kind of pilot. Okay. But ab initio, fresher CPL holders, there is no shortage of that. Absolutely, there is no shortage of that. So, because of that, the pilot salaries are not increasing.
Yeah.
Right? It is in proportion to the demand. The companies that are there in India, whether good or for bad, maybe for pilots it may not be that good, but for the companies it may be good. As much as they need pilots, they do have those pilots, so they are not increasing the salaries. It's as simple as that.
And the point you mentioned about the shortage of pilot. So I would like to bring to all of your attention that you might have seen a couple of blogs on the websites that India is facing a shortage of pilots, this, that. So if you are someone who is reading that article and then getting influenced to become a pilot, so that is not the right approach to become a pilot. It has to be genuine and it has to not be shortage driven career, that okay, here is the shortage, so I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
Because as Nilay said, there is a shortage for experienced pilot. There's no shortage of people having a CPL. So if someone tells you that there is shortage of pilots, so you can choose pilot career, so that is not the right approach.
Yeah. The point is, if you have a CPL and you have age with you, it is most likely that you are going to get a job.
Yes.
Only question that remains is when. Okay. Yes, there is enough demand to recruit pilots. Absolutely. That's why companies come up with vacancies. At the same time, there is no scarcity of pilots. Absolutely no scarcity of fresher pilots. That's where we are at. And like Chintan said, that if someone is influencing you to become a pilot by saying that there is 35,000 pilots required in next 5 years, 10 years, or XYZ numbers that float around. The point is that if anybody is trying to influence you to become a pilot, probably not the best person to hear from. Okay. The decision has to come from your own mind. The decision has to come from the thoughts like, do I have the wherewithal to become a pilot? Do I have the willingness to persist through the training? The training that pilot training is a lot more difficult than people think. Okay, the difficulty level is not as much, but the point is the endurance through that difficulty is a lot. If you are like, we'll speak about FA. If you are becoming, not about FA, meaning becoming a pilot in the US, getting a CPL in the US, by the time you get your multi-rating CPL, you have given 3 stage checks in private pilot license, 3 end of course checks in the private pilots. Okay.
End of course is one.
Yeah, end of course is 1. Same for instrument, same for commercial, and multi-engine.
Yeah.
It's like a series of tests and checks, tests and checks, tests and checks. And each lesson, every phase includes what? Around 30 hours, 30 to 30 lessons.
Yeah.
Roughly about 30 lessons.
30 to 40 hours,
Yeah.
30 lessons.
Out of those 30 lessons, 15 are assessment and 15 are intro. Meaning that assessment is also a review, it would be called as a review flight, is also a kind of internal check for the previous maneuvers that you have learned. Now you're doing this for 6, 8 months, 1 year, whatever the period of time that, and it is back to back, one check after the other, one test after the other, one test after the other. It's going on. Once this, you are rewarded with a CPL. Once you are rewarded with a CPL, now you have paperwork to do. A lot of paperwork that DGCA asks you to do.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the check of your patience. Okay, and you do that. Then the same thing goes for type rating. Then the same thing goes for airline training. Then the same thing goes for the SLFs. So the endurance that one needs to have in order to undergo all these checks one after the other, that demands a lot of resilience from each person. So if someone is asking you to do it, or if someone is influencing you to do it just because that person is saying that pilots make 10 lakh rupees per month, you might want to limit the importance that you give to that rant. That is all I would say. We won't be specifically mentioning anyone who says these things. Okay,
I mean,
you know who these people are, and just be aware about that. That's for your own good. We are not here to tell you whether you should or should not become a pilot. That decision has to be yours. We are simply here to tell you that what are the facts in the industry. And if you like it, we like it. That's why we do it. Okay. If we don't like it, we'll stop doing it. Truth. Seriously. Okay. If one fine day I and Chintan feel like, all right, we are done waking up at 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the morning. Enough is enough. We'll stop doing it. Okay.
The point to discuss all these things is for you to make an informed decision. So now, as we see in the social media, there are different content creators who create content related to aviation.
Most of it is good.
Most of it is good. Like
Yeah.
people never see the struggles as we are discussing today. Like the struggles that an aspiring pilot goes through, starting with convincing their parents. Second is the finances. Third is the decisions. Like the decision of become a pilot should not be influenced by anyone, but rather it should be their own. Otherwise, to persist through the journey will be difficult.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So now we have discussed that, let's say you are an aspiring pilot watching this podcast, you have convinced your parents, you have sorted out the finances. Now, the third thing is you want to start your pilot career. So, what do? You go on to Google, you type in how to become a pilot, you get loads of information about there are, like, let's say 20 ways to become a pilot. Which one should I use? You approach to certain people who are there in the industry, they will guide you. So there have been misinformation in this field for quite a while, and I recollect an aspiring pilot. So this was, I guess, 1 year ago. So I do consultation as well for students. Like we do it whenever we are available, and the parents wants to meet us. So we do consultation. So that kid came up with his parents to us, and we were sitting in the office and we were discussing about the pathways and everything to become a pilot. So now that kid comes up with his parents for the meeting, and then I just ask him certain questions to check his eligibility, whether he can become a pilot or he needs some work before he takes a step to become a pilot. So now that student was able to understand English, but he wasn't able to converse with me in English. He was very low on confidence. He could barely speak up to me. His parents were doing most of the conversation, which is okay. I'm not telling that the kid is bad or something. That is completely fine at that
It's
age.
a lack of skill.
Yeah, it is lack of skill, and
yeah.
that age, some people have that skill, some people don't have the skill, and that's completely okay. But when you are choosing a career as a pilot, you need to be fluent in speaking, reading, writing, and understanding the English language. That is a prerequisite. So now I told him politely that if possible, take 1 to 2 months of English coaching classes. Once your English and everything is improved, then you can come back to us, and then we'll guide you for the further step. So I told him politely that was the right thing I would have done and I should have done. Even if that person feels bad about it, I'm here to show them the right way. Now, next week, he might have gone to someone else for consultation, and he joined pilot training there, which was wrong. So what I feel is I did right on my part. But then if you are misguided or misinformed, then it becomes a problem, because wrong guidance doesn't delay you. Wrong guidance derails you. And then the initial time wasted, 1, 2, 3 years, is now going to come back.
True. Absolutely. On this podcast, we do talk and also promote CNTAA, but that does not mean that CNTAA is willing to take every admission. No. We deny admissions because of eligibility criteria. The reason for it is that's good for you. I remember one of the meeting at CNTAA, and I clearly sensed the student as in the The girl was trying to force her parents to become a pilot, and she was trying for Franklin to tell them how good is aviation in order for her to be able to enroll. And I sensed it. And I was like, I'd like to have a word with the parents personally. The parents are like, they'll do anything for their kid. But you have to understand that her parents had collective income of 70 to 80,000 with no significant assets to their name. I was like, I don't think this is the right time for her to begin this journey. They had some 30-40 lakh rupees to saved up. 30 lakh rupees, not 30 lakh rupees or something. This is about 2 years ago. I was like, I don't think this is the right time to do it. Absolutely, this is not the right time to do it. What I would rather recommend for her is she is 18, 19 year old. She can start her job in aviation in any other capacity. She can become an AME. She can become an engineer. She can do the ground staff. She can become a crew, whatever that she wishes, and eventually have in 5 to 7 years have saved up money if financially disciplined, very well disciplined. Then eventually it is possible. Then eventually at that time maybe you are able to, but at this point of time in pilot training, unless someone has north of 80 lakh rupees, there is no point in starting pilot training or support the EMI of that much loan. That is. So what would be the EMI amount of 80 lakh rupees, whatever that there is.
Yeah.
So, because in conventional pathway, you don't know when the job will start. Absolutely, you don't know when the job. Even cadet pilot program. When we came back from cadet pilot program, we weren't called for 1 year almost, right?
Yeah. So it's a very dynamic situation.
Yeah.
At our time there was COVID, so everything was stopped.
Yeah.
Now everything is back on track. So maybe
now
6
there are
months.
no delays.
Yeah.
Yes, that is correct. And that is about the wherewithal. Chintan spoke about the skills. And see, right now, if someone doesn't have skills, doesn't mean they would not have that. Skills are developable. One can develop skills, work at it well, and skills can be developed. We have a great example of it. He's a cadet in Skyborn now. You know whom I'm talking about. Adi. The transition that guy has had, dude, I would salute him. Amazing. Like the day one we met him, and absolutely amazing. Yeah, cool. Next.
So this was about the misinformation. So if you are misinformed, then before even beginning your pilot career, it's already derailed.
Yeah.
So if you are getting information from any source, make sure they are legit. Verify with 2-3 good people who are doing good for the industry. If you want us to guide you, you can definitely reach us out, drop your comments, and we'll get back to you. Yeah. And let's say once you get information, then you move on to the medicals. Right. So now in medicals, first of all, everyone is nervous. Okay. And when you go inside the hospital, you think that, okay, it's very strict. What if I fail this? What if I do this, that? So that is one thing. Now, second thing is we have seen students like delaying their medicals for no reason.
That is...
Yeah,
good that you brought this up.
Yeah.
Seriously.
So they start with their computer number application. They complete their DGCA exams. They even start or take their admission in the flying school, and then they go for medicals.
Yeah.
Because SPL requires a medical.
I
so that's the point.
I spoke with someone who was permanently medically unfit. Cleared all the DGCA exams. Okay. Class 2 medical was put on hold. and still continued and then permanently unfit. That's like, okay, usually the primary reason for permanently unfit is either the audiometry or uh,
Color
color
blindness.
blindness.
So these are the most common
Yeah,
reason.
yeah.
Okay. And it's less than 5%, I would say.
Yeah.
And just to be sure, before even you start with anything, let's say computer number or even the DGC exams, get your medicals done. Just class 2 is fine, so that you know you are okay. And then once you get your computer number, or before you take admission in any flying schools, get with your class 1 medicals. So you're sure that this is the right path for you. If something is off, there is time to fix it. But let's say if there is something which is not in your hands or not in your control, you save that time and money and you invest that in something else which is beneficial for you.
True. Absolutely. All right, this is not a medical assessment or anything, but because of color deficiency in eyesight is such a significant reason, we keep the ishara charts with us always. So I'll just... Yeah, okay, this is called a ishara chart. Okay. This is not a medical assessment, guys. Okay, please be very clear about it. We are not medical professionals, but how doctors assess is primary test is this ishara chart. You need to be able to see these numbers, read these numbers. If someone is not able to do it, then that person would undergo further tests in order to... Yeah. Should I show it on? Okay, I think Chintan, yours doesn't have as much reflection. So I'm going to show it on Chintan's side. Okay. Yeah, these are the... I don't know whether it is clear on the screen or not. And yeah, this is called an ishara chart. So one needs to be able to see these numbers. That is the first test. Okay, if doctors have any doubt about the eyesight with this or reading with this, then they'd perform. Okay, so this is... All right, I'm not going to say anything.
So this is how the test is done. The doctor will have their own ishara chart.
Okay, some of these may not even have numbers. Okay. And if you identify that there is no number, that's okay. And some of these would have like paths that you need to take your hands on. Okay. Nahi hai na? No, it's always good to verify, right? Varna samjha that yeah, okay, like these, in mine and Chintan's opinion, do not have a number. Yeah. No, right? No, these do not have a number. Okay, these are the follow the path on the yeah. Yeah. Okay, so they ask you to start your basically go over the path that's there, if it is clear to you. Harsh, if you could just zoom in a little bit. Zoom in as long as Chintan's face is not cut. Guys, if you all would be so nice to be Harsh and Nimish, they added this all. So thank you, Harsh and Nimish. All right. Yeah. So I hope all of you were able to read it. If it was clear on the screen, then and that is not a medical assessment. I say again, that is not a medical assessment. Make sure to get your medicals done. But because it is such a significant problem, it's
better to get it done early.
Yeah.
And let's say if there is anything which is holding you back, there's something called as temporary unfit, which will give you a period of 6 months to correct whatever is required, and then you can reappear for the medical test and clear it. There have been instances in the past where, due to, let's say, some blood levels or some parameters in the blood are beyond the limit, and then with proper diet, that was brought back to the normal level within 6 months, and then students have appeared for the medicals and they have cleared it. So that is very rare. We are talking about 5% of the cases. Otherwise, if you follow a good sleep routine, a good balanced diet, limit all the external things like alcohol or smoking, then the parameters would be perfectly fine. But in case anything happens, in case there is a temporary unfit, you have a chance to improve it and get back to the normal levels. So that is about the medicals. So whenever you go for medicals 1 week prior, just make sure you have a good balanced diet, a good sleep routine, a good exercise, and that should be good to clear the medicals.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so that is about the medicals.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, people start studying,
Right.
okay, for the DGCA exams.
Right.
And I remember the incident from my exam center. So I went, it was somewhere in Mumbai Central, and I went there to give my exams. So I stay in Malad and I went to Mumbai Central. It's quite far. So there, I was giving it for the first time. So it was the NAV exam.
Mm-hmm.
And
First and last time, right?
yeah,
Unless-
first and last time.
Unless
yeah,
you go for ATPL.
yeah, first and last time. So luckily until now, like I'm not flexing it, but all the attempts have been number one only, be it flight check or be
Yeah,
it the written. Okay. So we were standing in the queue outside the college or outside the exam center. And then, people just have a conversation with each other, what you're doing, what have you prepared, what do you expect, and out of that. So there was one guy, he just asked me, which attempt? And then I was like, first.
Yeah.
Then he just started laughing. I don't know what was the reason.
Mm-hmm.
And then I asked him, which attempt? So he was like, third attempt. So
Third.
no, it was navigation exam, and he said third attempt. So okay, I was like, maybe the exam is very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So the interpretation was like that. He didn't tell me anything. He just laughed, and then we went inside the exam center. So I interpreted it that navigation exam would be very difficult because it's taking people more than one attempt to clear it. And then when the results came of the exam, I cleared.
Yeah.
Then I felt it's not that difficult if you have the right guidance. Okay, so now what is happening is, so that was my time back in 2020 when I was a student of CNTAA for the DGCA exams, and I was guided right by Capt.Neha with all the concepts. So concepts is what made me clear all my papers in the very first attempt. So yeah, that was my story. But now what I see is that person who told me that it is his third attempt for the navigation. So basically what I derived from his understanding was, first of all, there is an air that these exams are very tough to crack. That is a myth, I would say, because with proper guidance, you can clear any exam.
Absolutely.
You have to have the right mentor, the right ground classes for it. Now, if you see the ground classes, there are lots and lots of options to choose from. Okay, if you type in DGCA ground school, you'll have 20 pages in Google for each and every ground school. I have seen a couple of ground school when I was researching for my ground school. Okay, so at that time also, there was no full-time ground instructor available there. So all the people who were teaching had a CPL, were actively looking for an airline job. It was kind of side gig for them.
Yeah.
So they just come there, they just teach student. They didn't have any responsibility that, okay, the students should clear or something like that. They are
like someone who's dedicated to
dedicated,
teaching only.
or who have a relevant experience.
Yeah.
Okay, so that what matters in this industry. That's what I've seen, because once you learn, so let's say if I give an example about flying in an airline. So now when we are training as a GFO, we have an LTC who is having an experience of 7+ years on type.
Absolutely.
So they are teaching us. Okay. So now if you relate that to DGCA exams, if someone experience is teaching you, you will clear everything in the first attempt.
Right.
But if there is someone who is teaching for the first time to all students, it's just an experiment. That's what I feel.
True.
Okay.
Yeah.
So things, let's say if the results come good, that person will keep his job. If result doesn't come, then the institute will fire him. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
So if you select the right guidance, the right ground school,
Or when they get a job,
Yeah.
then they'll leave for-
someone else will join. Okay. So that's how I feel. So select the right ground school.
Yeah.
Okay. For your DGCA exams. And let's say even if it is costing you a bit more, it will save you a lot of time.
Yeah.
It will cut short your part to the flying school.
Yeah.
Okay. You won't be stuck for DGCA exams for 1 year, 2 year. You will clear it in 3 to 6 months and then move on to flight training.
Depending on number of papers.
Hmm.
Like if it is 3, then 3 to 4 months. And if it is all the subjects including tech gen, then that will take 5 to 6 months. That is what it takes. Again, we have a bias about this. Okay. So we're not here to again tell you whether you should or should not be a pilot. If you decide to become a pilot, we highly recommend for you to join CNTAA. Okay, then there is, absolutely, you should join CNTAA in that case. We have amazing results. All India highest in the last batch is air navigation 99 out of 100.
Yes.
Okay,
That is commendable.
Yeah, that is all India highest. And it's not just in one batch or one attempt, or it's not attempt highest. It is all-time highest. I don't know if anyone has scored 100.
No.
Yeah, so
Not yet.
99. Okay.
Not yet, but soon. We are expecting
Yeah.
someone from CNTAA.
yeah. Knock on the wood. Okay, and let's hope for that. So we have a bias because we have reasons to have that bias. Capt.Neha and Captain Pankaj take care of teaching. Captain Pankaj teaches at the training center, and Capt.Neha is online. So we'd love to have you at CNTAA as long as you do meet the eligibility criteria with respect to essentially the medical. Second is communication skills. Third is the wherewithal. And there are certain factors that we consider before the enrollment. Admissions are subject to availability of seats. So if you are willing to become a pilot and if you have made the decision, we'd love to have you at CNTAA. You can have a word with Franklin, or you can have a word with us as well, as you prefer. First, you'll have to speak with the Franklin, and then absolutely, we'd love to speak with you. If you want to enroll for CNTAA and have a meeting, a consultation, you can contact us on 9930-300-426. I repeat, 9930-300-426. Or you can sign up on cntaaonline.in. That is CNTAA online.in. Yeah. All right. I think that's it about the struggles of aspiring pilots. And this is, most of it is before making the decision to become a pilot. And in continuation to this, we'll have another episode that will be addressed to someone who has decided to become a pilot and started their journey into flight training and DGCA exams and all of those things. So once again, this is credits to congratulations, Vansh Alwani. Vansh Alwani scored 99 out of 100. So the CNTAA student. And this is a reflection of your hard work, Vansh, and your dedication. We are glad that Team CNTAA was able to contribute to your journey. So, a great deal of congratulations. And to all of you, thank you for watching, viewing, subscribing. If you are not subscribed, we'd love for you to do so. And keep the comments coming in and keep on suggesting us that what will help you, what should we discuss, because as much as we think over it, we love your inputs. Whatever that we discuss on in here is what we understand from the concerns of parents, concerns of students that we meet time and again. Apart from that, what we discuss here is what our experiences are with respect to the cockpit, with respect to the journey that we have lived, the journey that pilots live, the journey that other pilots live. We convey either their stories through this mic, or we convey our own stories and our experiences through this mic. And if you're still watching, yeah, we really appreciate your attention. Thank you.
Thank you for watching this podcast. And as it is said that a cockpit photo is just a moment, but the journey behind it is for years. So when you start your pilot career, there will be ups and downs. Definitely there will be struggles. But once you surpass all those things, you will be in that airline cockpit flying the airplane. So thank you for watching this, and we'll address the struggles of a student pilot in the next episode. Thank you for watching. Have a good day. Bye bye.